Shields up, Iron Breakers. Work here coming at you with another episode of Kast, and today we're going to be talking exclusively about Monster Hunter because basically I kind of felt like it. We're going to be going from my origin story with Monster Hunter. Basically the first Monster Hunter I've ever played. Then going to be going down the list through all of the Monster Hunters that I have played so far, how I felt about them. And then lastly, we're going to be discussing Monster Hunter Double Cross, the possibility of Monster Hunter coming out on the PlayStation 4, and the possibility of Monster Hunter making the move to the Switch. So let's get started, shall we? The very first Monster Hunter that I've ever played was actually Monster Hunter Tri on the Wii. Now, for those of you who don't know like my background in gaming, I used to be really big into World of Warcraft back in the day, and so most people who play World of Warcraft, at least people who play it to the point where you're scheduling raids and attending raids and being a part of a guild and all that, you guys are going to know that when you play World of Warcraft, you pretty much don't play anything else. And so at a point in time in my life when I wanted to take a break from World of Warcraft was also the time when the Wii was kind of like when the Wii was released, essentially. Very close to when the Wii was released. And I was looking at consoles and I was thinking, it'd be cool to have a console, because also I was doing all of my gaming, video editing, all of that stuff on a Mac. So obviously, playing games on Steam and stuff like that back in the day wasn't really a viable option. So I was thinking about a console, and as I looked around, the Wii seemed like the big new thing, and it also seemed very interesting to me personally. And I know that a lot of people got burned by that because a lot of people didn't like the Wii. They thought it wasn't for core gamers and all this other stuff. Personally, I actually really like the Wii. I like the motion controls. I liked a lot about that console. And that's kind of how it happened that Monster Hunter Tri was the first Monster Hunter I've ever played, because I owned the Wii at the time that Monster Hunter Tri came out, and I knew that I had a friend of mine who was pretty much addicted to Monster Hunter. So I called him up and I was like, hey, what's the deal with this Monster Hunter game you keep talking about? Is this real good? Because I have this console and this Monster Hunter Tri is coming out. And he was just like, dude, this is like the best thing ever. The game is so fucking amazing. You have no idea. You have like enough game there to play until you're fucking 70. It's so good. It's this, that, and yet. He basically, he would say everything that any Monster Hunter fan will tell you. Like I myself will probably tell people that ask me about Monster Hunter. I'll be like, yeah, Monster Hunter's real good. It's a real good game. But this friend of mine, he's like even way more addicted to Monster Hunter than I am. So he instantly told me, yes, you should totally buy it. So I go out to the store. I buy like this special collector's edition. It came with a pro controller for the Wii. And I've actually never used that pro controller because I actually liked using Wiimote and Nunchuck, which I guess is probably one of the reasons why I never really liked Monster Hunter Tri. As a matter of fact, if you guys don't believe me, here's the little statue of Lagiacrus. This is Lagiacrus. He was the cover monster for Monster Hunter Tri, and he also came in the collector's edition. It's kind of rubbery, and I actually like this statue quite a bit. I think the statue looks pretty cool. I don't like the monster all that much, though. I never really liked him. Simply because water fighting, I think Monster Hunter Tri was the first Monster Hunter that did hunts in water, and I just never really cared for that. I thought they were lame as hell. Fighting on land is fine, but fighting on water on Monster Hunter is just for some reason, I just never got into that stuff. But anyway, I'm getting ahead of myself because now you guys might think, oh, so the reason you didn't like Monster Hunter Tri is because you didn't like fighting in water. No, I didn't like Monster Hunter Tri because I thought the controls fucking sucked, and I thought the game fucking sucked, and I thought the graphics fucking sucked, and I thought the whole package just sucked because I didn't know any better back then. I just didn't know any better. I mean, you guys have to remember, this is someone who is basically coming from World of Warcraft, who's barely played any consoles since the Mega Drive, which I guess for you guys in the America was the Genesis. In Europe, they called it Mega Drive for some reason. But the Genesis was the last console I had played before I picked up my Wii. So therefore, just handling controllers in general was somewhat challenging because I was just so used to mouse and keyboard that I just didn't know any other way. So I started playing Monster Hunter, and I was probably trying to play it using motion controls, which playing Monster Hunter using motion controls. That was probably a big part of why I didn't like it, but I didn't like it. And my friend came over and he tried telling me how wrong I was, and he showed me a couple of things, and I was like, yeah, that just doesn't appeal to me at all. Like I was like, Smash Brothers seems more appealing than friggin' Monster Hunter. Like Smash Brothers is more fun. Like check it out, we can kick each other's asses. I would. Again, I never got into Monster Hunter Tri. It was the first Monster Hunter that I ever played, and I never got into it. And nowadays I look back and I was like, what was I thinking back then? How did I not recognize the potential that this game had? And again, I think it's because I had just spent way too much time playing World of Warcraft, and therefore I was like in that kind of comparison mode that everything that I would play, I would kind of compare it to World of Warcraft, and it's like my brain was just formatted that way, right? But anyway, later down the line, this was much later after Monster Hunter Tri, I eventually purchased a PlayStation Vita, as you guys know, and I loved playing my PlayStation Vita. And at some point, there was like a special sale on Monster Hunter Freedom Unite. Now, Monster Hunter Freedom Unite was a port from a PlayStation portable game. So again, I call my friend up and I'm like, so dude, if I buy this thing, can we like play together? Like, will this thing communicate with your PSP? Like, what's the deal with this? And my friend was like, maybe, I don't know if this is going to work. This seems like a really bad idea, but you should probably get it anyways. It was like super cheap. So I go ahead and I buy Monster Hunter Freedom Unite. And I bought it and I went over to my friend's house and we're both just like sitting there thinking like, there's no way this is going to work. This is impossible that this is going to work. There's no way you're going to put a PlayStation Vita talking with a PlayStation Portable. And guess what? It worked first time, no problems, no hitches, no nothing. And I was like, what? Are you serious? So I was like so surprised. I was so blown away with the fact that you basically could have this super recent console talk with this slightly older console, the PSP, and play a video game, which my friend had the actual retail version on disc. And I was playing this digital emulated version on the Vita. And that was interesting. So basically I started playing that and I kind of realized that what I needed was to have my friend kind of guide me through the do's and don'ts of Monster Hunter. Like, you don't have to do all of the quests. That's a big thing because, playing World of Warcraft, you kind of become a completionist. You're just like, you're obsessed with quests. Like you see a quest, you want to do a quest. Doesn't matter how menial, doesn't matter how boring it sounds. It's just one of those things where like, I'm going to do this quest and I'm going to get a reward. And later down the line, this is going to be useful. Turns out that with Monster Hunter, it's not necessarily like that at all. As a matter of fact, a lot of the quests in Monster Hunter Freedom Unite were already there were a lot of those gathering boring quests. I mean, not too much, I want to say, but there were a couple of those and I was just like, I was obsessed with those. And then eventually I started playing the actual multiplayer with my friend. And that's when I started getting into it. That's when you start feeling what it's like to, you're actually doing hunts and you're actually contributing in somehow. And so I started using the gun lance because it seemed like a cool weapon. My friend told me the weapon sucked, and I was just like, oh, dude, I'm all for the underdog, so I'm taking this weapon, and I made it work. I was actually doing a pretty decent job when it came to using the gun lance, which is why eventually when you guys saw me playing Monster Hunter 3 Ultimate, the gun lance was one of my favorite weapons because I kind of knew the gun lance combos and kind of how the gun lance worked from Monster Hunter Freedom Unite. So I played, I think, about 60 or 80 hours of Freedom Unite with my friend. And then eventually when I picked up the Wii U, obviously one of the games that I instantly wanted to play was Monster Hunter 3 Ultimate. And that game, I don't even know how many hours I have on Monster Hunter 3 Ultimate, but I played quite a bit of it. I streamed some of it. I recorded some footage about it. And I've even played quite a bit of Monster Hunter 3 Ultimate with Hengist. For those of you who don't know, as a matter of fact, there should probably be a video like here or something here on the side that I picked up from a project that me and Hengist eventually started, which was called Mighty Monster Hunters. That video is not going to have any audio though, so if you want to watch it, you're going to have to go to that channel and watch the video there, where you can see we only ever did 2 videos for that project. We hunted a pink Raytheon, and I don't remember what the second thing was that we hunted on camera. But other than that, we did a lot of hunts where we're just having fun with it. I think at some point I actually played Monster Hunter 3 Ultimate with Unit Lost as well. Yeah, we had a lot of fun with that too. Even though Stylosa never really got into it, nowadays Stylosa is basically just an Overwatch channel. But yeah, Monster Hunter 3 Ultimate, I think, is when I really like dove deep. Because like with Freedom Unite, sure I was playing it, but mostly I wanted to play when I was with my friends so that we could both like hunt together and stuff. Monster Hunter 3 Ultimate, though, I'd be playing by myself. I'd be farming. I'd be doing all of these crazy things. I'm like, I want this armor, and then I want this thing, and then I want that. And me and Hengist would be trying to like craft matching armors and use different weapon sets and skills that would like kind of complement each other when we were hunting. And it was a lot of fun. It was just seriously just a lot of fun. I loved the crap out of Monster Hunter 3 Ultimate, and I think it was probably one of the better Monster Hunters because of the simple fact that you could play it on a TV. Because for those of you who don't know, Monster Hunter has largely been a handheld game. It's been on where did it even begin? For starters, the very first Monster Hunter was actually in the PlayStation 2, I think. And it was one of the first games they utilized like online gaming so that you could actually hunt with other people. So it actually started on the PlayStation 2, but then later moved to the PSP, and I believe it was also one of the games that actually made the PSP become really successful. And then eventually it moved on to the 3DS, and the justification that was given for the game to move on to the 3DS was the dumbest thing I've ever heard somebody say, which is, I remember someone from Monster Hunter just said, they actually said this sentence. They said in Japanese, or at least the translation maybe wasn't the best, but like the translation made it sound like they said, so yeah, we decided to put our game on the 3DS because it's in 3D. That was it. And I was like, what? What the hell are you talking about? The game is in 3D? What? So it goes on the 3DS because it's on 3D. Well, forget about all the other consoles. They don't do 3D. Anyway, I thought that was really funny. But yeah, eventually it went to the 3DS. And the only reason, as far as I'm aware, the only reason that Monster Hunter 3 Ultimate actually was ported to the Wii U was because they weren't able to get the online features to work right. So basically they made a Wii U version, and then you could go online with your console through the Wii U version, and you could also crossplay with Wii U and whatnot. So that was kind of cool. But ultimately, Capcom, I think, always wanted to just have it on the most popular handheld at the time. So when the most popular handheld was the PSP, it was on the PSP. When the most popular handheld was the 3DS, it was on 3DS. And the reason it was on a handheld, for those of you in the West who might not be aware, is because handhelds pretty much dominate when it comes to gaming in Japan. They don't have as many home consoles over there as we do in the West because they're constantly moving all over the place and they're taking bullet trains and they're busy with their lives. They basically game on the go. So therefore, handhelds, really big market over there. Handhelds over here, not so much. So that's pretty much why, Capcom's always been doing it like that. And the other interesting thing, one of the features of Monster Hunter is that you can play locally. So basically you can get together with 3 more friends and you can all just like without internet, without any of those things, just like straight up connect to each other's consoles and play that way. And I think that is definitely the best way of playing Monster Hunter, because sometimes online you have some lag, you have this, you have that. Just like sitting together with your friends and playing a Monster Hunter game is definitely the best that I've had when it comes to Monster Hunter. So that's kind of like the thing about Monster Hunter 3 Ultimate. I'm not discussing Monster Hunter Portable 3rd because Portable 3rd never really got localized to the West. There were like some ROM hacks or something so that you could play Monster Hunter Portable 3rd on your PSP with like a semi-baked translation, which I've heard it was actually really good. I'm not insulting anyone who worked on that translation because it's a lot of work. I'm just saying that, it wasn't anything official. It was like someone a team of fans made this translation for the game. It would only work on the PlayStation Portable. I wanted to play Monster Hunter Portable the third, but again, never came out in the West. And I'm not going to be playing a game in Japanese because I'm not going to understand a lot of stuff. And there's even the English Monster Hunter games. There's sometimes a lot of stuff that I have to do a bunch of research to actually understand how it works. Like, just to give you guys an idea, one of my favorite weapons in Monster Hunter 4 Ultimate was the Kinsect glaive. So you guys can imagine the amount of research I had to do to figure out, wait a second, what's this fucking Kinsect bullshit you guys are talking about here? This is some crazy fucked up shit. Because it was really complicated. Like, to this day, unless I go right now and I look it up again, I'm not going to be able to explain to you guys how Kinsects actually work back in 4 Ultimate. I have a better idea of how they work now in Generations, but Jesus Christ, 4 Ultimate was no joke when it came to Kinsect glaives. That thing was complicated. It was a really fun weapon to use, but complicated as all hell. Although I did get a little bit lost in my train of thought here talking about Portable Third. I was wondering if there was some kind of a point that I wanted to make. Oh yeah, it's because that Portable Third would have been another one of those that would have been on a home console, except it never released on the West, so we never had that. So again, just straight up handheld. But eventually, once we got past Monster Hunter 3 Ultimate and they released Monster Hunter 4 Ultimate, again, skipping Monster Hunter 4, because like for those of you who don't know, usually Monster Hunter, you get like 2 versions of the same game. So first, you get a version that is the basic game. It's got low rank and it's got high rank quests, and then it's got event quests and stuff like that. But it doesn't have the G rank. That's like your basic version. So that would be Monster Hunter 4, which never came out on the West. And then you get like the ultimate version, which for them in Japan they call it Monster Hunter something. In this case, 4. Monster Hunter 4G. Over here they call it 4 Ultimate, just like they called it 3 Ultimate. In Japan it was called 3G because it adds the G rank quests, which are the super high level quests. And I have to be honest, I've never even made it up to G rank quests because Capcom's just been like cranking out Monster Hunters nonstop, and it's hard for me to even keep up with the launch cycles nowadays, which is something that is a little bit disappointing to me. It's like there's too many Monster Hunters and maybe just not enough innovation. But let's talk about 4 Ultimate. 4 Ultimate was a big improvement, in my opinion, when it came to Monster Hunter, because it actually tried harder to have a story. You would visit multiple villages in a certain sequence. You know, sure, story wasn't the highlight of that game, not by a long shot. But the thing that I really liked about 4 Ultimate is that it was a very approachable game. So, like, I think for people that would be starting out on Monster Hunter, starting on Monster Hunter 4 Ultimate was probably the best experience they were going to get with Monster Hunter because it was very accessible. It did a good job of bringing players in and slowly explaining the different mechanics and teaching them how to do different things. And at the same time, introducing the mechanic of mounting. You'd be able to mount monsters for the very first time. It was on 4 Ultimate. Well, not 4 Ultimate. It was probably on Monster Hunter 4, but in the West, we only had Ultimate. So I'm going to be referring to 4 Ultimate as the first time I got to experience mounting monsters, which was really cool. It was a really neat mechanic, and it was one of the main reasons why I really enjoyed using the insect glaive, because you'd be able to like pull vault into a monster and be able to attack it from the top to basically mount him and bring him down, which was a very useful thing when you were hunting with your friends. So Monster Hunter 4 Ultimate, again, I thought was a great game. It brought a lot of people in. It didn't necessarily innovate as much as I would like, but it did bring 2 new weapons to the game. And for a lot of people, it's like 2 new weapons. Like, what's the big deal? It's like, it's not just 2 new weapons. It's like 2 new weapon types, which then means you have a crap ton of these weapon trees. Like, people who know what I'm talking about, you guys know 2 new weapons in Monster Hunter is a pretty goddamn big deal. So it brought a lot of stuff. It was accessible. It was a cool Monster Hunter. I really enjoyed my time with 4 Ultimate. And then came Generations, which is the one where we're at right now in the West. And pretty soon, Japan is going to get what they're calling Double Cross, which is, it's kind of like Generations G almost, or Generations Ultimate, whatever the hell you want to call it. I have no idea what they're going to call it in the West. It's going to be complicated because the reason they call it Monster Hunter Double Cross in Japan is because in Japan, Generations was actually called Monster Hunter Cross, which for those of you who know how this works, whenever something in Japan says cross, it means it's got some crossover. And that's exactly the same thing that Generations does. It has crossover from other Monster Hunters. So like, for instance, you have the village of Monster Hunter Freedom Unite on there. You have, actually you don't have Moga Village. I was about to say you have Moga Village, but you don't. But you have the village of Monster Hunter Third Portable in there. And then you have the village, I believe, of Monster Hunter 1. So you have villages from Monster Hunter 1, Monster Hunter Third Portable, and Monster Hunter Freedom Unite. And then you also have what I think is the village of Monster Hunter Generations, which is Berna Village. But basically, they did a lot of this crossover. It feels very much like the best hits of Monster Hunter, where you're doing quests for multiple villages and you're doing all of these things. But ultimately, the one thing that stuck with me in Monster Hunter Generations is that it's got a lot of innovation. I'm going to be talking about a lot of the innovation on Generations as well, for those of you that don't know. But the first thing that always comes to mind whenever I'm talking about Monster Hunter Generations is that it's got too many fetch quests. Good God. The amount of... It's like, I don't know if it's just me, but I think that going from 4 Ultimate to Generations, I felt like they took 10 steps backwards with their quests, because I've been bored out of my fucking skull with the quests that you get in Generations. I'm not even kidding. We're like 3-star quests, and it's just like, oh yeah, go get these eggs. Oh yeah, go get these things. And again, you don't have to do these quests. You don't. It's just, you know, the completionist in me wants to do them, and I think I did a lot of these quests in 4 Ultimate, and I didn't have as much of a problem with it, but for some reason, Generations, I think they just took it way too far. There's just way too many boring-ass quests in Monster Hunter Generations. Just way too many of them. And you have to skip way too many quests to get to the good stuff. Like, it just takes way too much time, in my opinion. But then they also introduced a lot of new mechanics. So they introduced the mechanic of styles. So styles actually increases the movesets for every single weapon. So now you have the guild style, which is a style that you've had in every other Monster Hunter. It's like the default type of thing. And then you have the striker style, which is a more aggressive style for every single weapon. And then you have the aerial style, which is a style that focuses on you jumping on top of monsters and just being able to do jumping attacks and stuff like that. And then you have the Bushido, or is it evasion? I don't even know what they call it in the West anymore, because I never use it. Adept. It's called Adept. So you have the Adept style, which is basically focused on you evading monsters. So they added all these things. Then they added Hunter Arts, which are basically special attacks that you can do. Once you've hit a monster enough times, it's going to charge up different special attacks that you can have, and you can execute those special attacks. And then depending on the style that you pick, you're going to be able to have more or less of these special attacks. So Striker, you get to have 3 special attacks. Guild, you get to have 2 special attacks, but the move sets change. So like Guild is going to have an overall better moveset than Striker, but Striker is going to have a moveset that is more aggressive and slightly more basic, but basically the trade-off is that you're going to have more special attacks, whereas Adept is only going to have 1 special attack, but it is going to be a thing that's very focused on evasion. And Aerial is also going to have only 1 special attack, but you're going to be able to mount monsters and do stuff like that. So these were like some massive gameplay changes. And when it comes to gameplay mechanics, I think that Generations is fantastic. It is the best that Monster Hunter has ever been, in my opinion, when it comes to gameplay mechanics. But when it comes to the quests, but specifically the single-player quests, it's just the most boring fucking thing ever. And that's like something that conflicts with me. It's like there's this game that I really, really love playing when I'm actually hunting monsters, and then like 90% of the quests are not hunting monsters. Maybe I'm exaggerating a little bit here, but I'm just getting my point across. Then on top of that, they also added the Prowlers, which I'm not a fan of that. I actually like the way that Palicos worked better on 4 Ultimate, because it's like Prowlers became its own game almost. You can almost just play, you can in fact just play that game as a Prowler, which is you're playing as a cat. Now the cats have pretty much just been your sidekicks in other Monster Hunters. As a matter of fact, let me just throw something out there. Where the hell are my Shalaka? Is it Shalaka? my cha-cha. Where's my cha-cha and where's my kayamba? Like those two were 100 times better than any of these goddamn palicos they keep throwing at me. I hate palicos. I really just don't like them. I mean, I'm fine with the mechanic now. I'm finally. It's been like how many? It's been a year actually. It's been a year since the game was released, and I think only this last month was when I actually started researching how to properly do palicos, and I started like, okay, I want to have my 2 healer palicos. I want to figure out which skills I need them to have, and because up until now I've just been, it's whatever, just give me whatever stupid cats you got in there. I'll take them with me, and whatever happens. And the palicos are a completely optional thing, but it's a really overly complex system, if you ask me, when it comes to the generations. Like the palico system is just you crazy, man. There's just like too much information. But ultimately, it is a good system for people that really want to get deep into that stuff. And I guess it can be fun. But yeah, there's also, again, I was talking about quests and how there's a lot of boring quests. Now, on top of those boring quests, there's also quests that just involve you playing as a cat. And you should go ahead and do certain quests as a cat, because guess what? Cats don't, their pickaxes never break. Their bug nets never break. They don't use healing items. So basically, if you're going to do a quest that is essentially like a gathering run, you should never, ever take your hunter, because a cat is basically better than your hunter at everything. And also it doesn't waste resources, because again, they have their own pickaxes which never break. You don't even have to take pickaxes with you. You can just take the cat, and the cat himself, you will pull out a pickaxe out of his ass. Same thing with bug nets. Same thing with pretty much anything that is a consumable. The cat can do it better than you can. But yeah, so that's the point where we're at right now. I'm in Generations, and I'm kind of struggling to have fun with it. Because again, the quests, they're just so boring that I can't play that game for long periods of time unless I'm playing with friends, because I get bored of it. But when I'm playing with friends, it's a lot of fun. We're all hunting. We're all like, okay, we got to hunt this because we're crafting this weapon. We're doing this. We're doing that, and that's cool. And again, that's the intended demographic of Monster Hunter, is the multiplayer. It's not really a single player game by any stretch of the imagination. But I just felt that 4 Ultimate was also a very good multiplayer game while still having a better single player experience, which is why I'm bringing all of this stuff up. But that's where we're at right now. That's like my story so far with all of the Monster Hunter games that I've played, just to kind of situate you, as to where I stand on Monster Hunter and why I like Monster Hunter so much. I like it so much because it is a cooperative game. And it is a game that you're supposed to be playing with friends, and particularly it is a game that you can get into the same room as a friend of yours and just like play it even without internet, which is good these days, because there's coming, all kinds of legislation is coming down. Who knows how long we're actually going to have the internet as it is today. Like, people are fighting every single day just to keep the internet as it is. And I know that a lot of people are like, oh my God, he's going to go into the whole freedom of internet thing. I'm not gonna get political. I've never really been one to get too political with things, so I'm not gonna go there. It's just one of those things that I like the fact that, say, I could be going on a road trip with a couple of friends and we could be like at a hotel room and not be dependent on the internet to enjoy some co-op gameplay. That's essentially what I'm getting at. But anyway, let's talk about Double Cross. So Monster Hunter Double Cross, or Generations Ultimate, which is what I assume they would call it, is going to release in Japan on the 28th of March. And this, I feel, is one of the problems that Monster Hunter has making a dent in the West. So for people, not for people, but mostly like if Capcom ever got around to watching this video, I would just like them to understand something. Gaming right now is in a place where people are willing to actually pay to get early access. Like as I'm working on this video, there's like thousands of people who purchased something called EA Access for the specific purpose of getting early access to Mass Effect Andromeda. I didn't, by the way, in case you're curious. So So we're at an age right now where gamers want the earliest possible access to video games. It's just the way it is. Everybody wants the new thing as fast as they can possibly get their hands on it. It's just, I don't know how gaming got to this kind of culture. I think it used to be back in the day that people would usually wait, and I think a lot of people still do. Those are the wise ones. They wait until games kind of drop in price to like the $30 range, and that's when they kind of get into a game. But nowadays, it's like a big majority of gamers, it's like, I need it as fast as I can get it. The second it's released, I want it. And if I don't have it the exact second it gets released, I'm going to lose interest. And that's exactly the way it is. That's a big portion of the gaming market these days, is if they don't have something the exact second it comes out, they lose interest. So that, I feel, is a big dent when it comes to Monster Hunter sales, because guess what? Japanese people tend to get Monster Hunter like months in advance of anyone else in the West. Now, for me, this isn't a problem because, like I said, I'm kind of waiting. I'm willing to wait because I'm not going to be playing a game that's in like Japanese and I can understand half the stuff that's written on there. I want to play it in English because that's the way that I play all of my video games, and I want to play Monster Hunter the same way. So I'm going to wait until the localized version comes out. That's when I will be playing Double Cross or Generations Ultimate, or whatever the hell they're going to call it over here. Now, Double Cross is going to bring a lot of new features. It's going to have, actually, I don't know all the things. Is it going to have a new weapon? I don't even remember. I know that they're going to add styles to Palicos. So they're going to make that thing that I just said is ridiculously overly complex. They're going to make that even more complex. They're probably going to add new monsters. They're going to add the G rank encounters, all that stuff. So they're going to bring in a lot of cool stuff for Monster Hunter Double Cross. And right now it's only scheduled to be released on the 3DS. However, someone important at Capcom, I don't know exactly who it is, but it's someone in charge of the Monster Hunter franchise, or someone who is talking in the name of Monster Hunter franchise. Again, you guys can tell that I really do a lot of heavy-duty research, and I don't even quote names. It's just not my thing. But anyway, this guy from Capcom, he said, "We really want Monster Hunter to succeed in the West. We know that in the West, you guys don't have as many handhelds as we do, and that is a big deal of why Monster Hunter hasn't been as successful over there as it is over here." Then he went on to talk about, "We believe that by 2020, the PlayStation 4 will have sold 100 million units," which I believe it should be currently creeping up on 50 million. And the Xbox One will probably sell about 40 million units. And they also said that the Xbox One was not somewhere they would really want to develop on. So sorry, Xbox One, you guys might be getting left in the dirt. And then they didn't say much about the Switch, or at least I don't think he said much about the Switch. But ultimately, Monster Hunter has always been a game that has only been on one platform, if I'm not mistaken. So you've had it on the PlayStation Portable, you had it on the PlayStation 2, you've also had it on the PlayStation 3 in the form of Monster Hunter Third Portable. You've had it on the Wii. And by this, when I say one platform, I mean one platform per game. I don't mean like it's always been on this one console. I mean one platform per game. So like Third Portable was on the PSP and PlayStation 3. I don't know if those had crossplay. I'm going to assume they did, but I could be wrong there. So don't quote me on that. It was on the Wii, and it was only on the Wii when it came out on the Wii. It was then on the Wii U and the 3DS, and it was cross-platform. And then it just stuck with the 3DS up until now. Now, if this is going to succeed in the West, I don't think 3DS is the way to do it. Obviously, they're going to have a 3DS version because the 3DS is a pretty big deal in Japan. I'm actually surprised they don't have a Vita version because I believe the Vita is picking up quite a bit of steam in Japan. But then again, this might be a part of their strategy because they might want to keep all of the players in this one platform, which is smart because that means that you have a really big community and you can tout big numbers because like, oh, look at all these people who are playing Monster Hunter and they're all playing it here. And there's basically, whenever you go to someone who feels strongly about Monster Hunter, let's say a Monster Hunter veteran, which I'm not a Monster Hunter veteran. I'm someone who enjoys Monster Hunter. I'm not a veteran, but you go to a veteran and it'll be like, they will buy consoles specifically for the purpose of playing Monster Hunter. So if you tell a Monster Hunter veteran, The next Monster Hunter is going to be exclusive to the Xbox Scorpio, and the Xbox Scorpio costs $700. Guess what? They're going to buy an Xbox Scorpio just to play Monster Hunter. They'll pay Xbox Gold to play Monster Hunter. And a lot of people are going to be like, wow, that sounds really unhealthy. It's like, no, because these people who play Monster Hunter to this extent, they play very little other games. So they don't invest as much money in games because they dedicate most of their time to Monster Hunter. And I don't think that's unhealthy at all. I think it's, look, to each his own. Some people like their entertainment. They like to go to the movies every night. Other people like to play FIFA. Other people like to play World of Warcraft. That was one of those people. And it's a perfectly valid form of entertainment. It's like, if you just want to play that one game, that's completely up to you. But what I'm saying is they're dedicated and they will buy the platform on which Monster Hunter comes out. Now, it seems pretty obvious that Nintendo would want Capcom to bring Monster Hunter Double Cross to the Switch. And it would make sense because they've been partnered with Nintendo all this time. And it seems just like a logical conclusion. We'll be talking more about that. However, there's also this rumor going around that it might be coming to the PlayStation 4. It is going to be a more westernized version of Monster Hunter. So think Monster Hunter Open World, which in my opinion doesn't make a lot of sense. Because I don't think you're going to be capturing the Monster Hunter fans that way. Like, you might be capturing new fans. Who knows? On one hand, it's a really good thing that they're considering this experimentation because, like I said, I want to see innovation. I want to see constant innovation in video games. So the more a video game breaks ground, the more I'm more interested in checking it out and see what they're doing. But Monster Hunter has a very hardcore following. That's the thing. It's like, innovation is all well and good so long as you don't alienate your existing user base. You know, like you've all heard the debacle that happened with Devil May Cry DMC, which is a game that I personally enjoy quite a bit. Devil May Cry fans just like took a massive dump all over that game. They're just like constantly saying the game sucks, game is this, game is that. And I fear that the same thing might happen if they change the formula too much on Monster Hunter. Whether or not that is going to be the case, I do not know. What I do know is that bringing the Monster Hunter to the PlayStation 4 would be a very good thing. Not for Nintendo, mind you, but it would be a very good thing for Monster Hunter because right now, PlayStation 4 is clearly the dominant console in the market. Just like straight up. They got sales. They got some of the best exclusive. I mean, have you even seen the start of 2017 right now? They're going to be selling so many more consoles this year because of all the cool shit that came out. Because, like, a lot of people, they don't think long term, you know? Like, and I'm talking like a lot of gamers are just like, oh, yeah, sure, they'll sell a couple consoles now and whatever. Guys, on Christmas, you guys have no idea how many PlayStations they're going to sell on Christmas because you're going to have the kids that want to play Horizon Zero Dawn. They'll want to play Uncharted 4. They'll want to play maybe even Neo. Well, I guess Neo might not be a console seller now that I think about it. But basically, there's a lot of really hot exclusives on PS4 right now. And there's a lot of reasons to own a PS4. So there's going to be a lot of PS4 sales on Christmas, basically, is what I'm saying. So Monster Hunter putting itself on PlayStation 4 would definitely be the right move for Monster Hunter. Now, the other thing is Monster Hunter doesn't have currently a release date for Europe, which is weird because usually by the time, at least I think, by the time that we're close enough to the Japanese release, they usually have some semblance of an idea of when the European version is going to be made. Now, could that be because Capcom is already planning to not have a 3DS version on Europe? Because that wouldn't make a lot of sense because basically they'd be alienating a big portion of the market. What would make sense for Capcom? I mean, obviously the PS4 thing, we've talked about it. Problem with the PS4 is that not every single person that played Monster Hunter on 3DS is going to play Monster Hunter on PS4 for a multitude of reasons. Maybe they just maybe the only console they have is 3DS. Maybe the only console they can have is a 3DS. You don't know. There's a multitude of reasons there. However, picture this. Monster Hunter comes out on the West, first on the Switch, later on the 3DS, which is, again, it's a bad thing because gamers like their thing day one, minute zero, they want it. So it's a bad thing that it comes out on delay. But assuming that they're still in partnership with Nintendo, Monster Hunter comes out first on Switch, later on 3DS with crossplay. You then have massive potential for Nintendo to boost their Switch sales. Because again, there's going to be a lot of people that will buy a Switch to play Monster Hunter. You got a lot of potential for your old fans also picking up the game because you already have the 3DS version. It's done. It's releasing on the 28th of March. It's releasing on Japan, so it's done. All you need to do is localize it, and you're going to have to localize it anyway, even if you put it on the Switch. So there's a lot of things here. Like, obviously, we don't have a big handheld market. We have some. They said, the Capcom person said about 10%, about 10% of our market is handheld, which means 90% home consoles. Actually, I don't know if 90% is home consoles or home consoles plus mobile. Or is it, interesting. I didn't think about mobile in the middle of all this. Then again, I don't like thinking about mobile. It gives me nightmares. So, if it comes out on the Switch, it's going to be a big deal for Nintendo. It would be the right move for Nintendo to support, so maybe Nintendo even throws a couple of dollars Capcom's way to make a Switch exclusive Monster Hunter. It will allow Capcom to maintain their existing Western fan base without needing them to buy a new console. And I don't think crossplay between the Switch and the 3DS should be something that is too hard, because the Switch is going to use ad hoc technology as well, which is the thing where you can play multiplayer without necessarily being connected to the internet by just peer-to-peer locally through different consoles. So I'm pretty sure that if I was able to play my PS Vita with my friend's PSP with Monster Hunter, using the Switch to communicate with 3DS shouldn't be that much different from that, particularly if you're playing the same game. So I think what would make sense is Double Cross coming out on the Switch and later, or even simultaneously, on the 3DS. I don't think it will make that much difference, because the thing is, even if it comes out simultaneously, a lot of people are going to want to buy a Switch, because in the West, we like playing, when we're home, we don't like playing handhelds. At least I personally don't. When I'm home, I barely ever touch my 3DS. It's just the thing. It's like, I'm sorry, I don't feel like playing my 3DS at home when I have a big-ass TV in front of me. I want to play on the big-ass TV. And that's exactly what the Switch does. It allows you to have this experience where you can either play on your home, or you can take it with you and play it outside. You can play it on your commute. You can play it with your friends locally, which is why it's kind of like the perfect mix. And my prediction, now we're coming into predictions. My prediction is that Nintendo wanted to save a really heavy hitter title for E3. Because let's face it, they announced games all the way up until holiday season right now. They have a fat ass lineup. I mean, it's not the most amazing lineup. Some of the games are ports and all that, but their lineup is basically planned all the way to holiday season. Now imagine this. If they announced all the games that are coming out for the Switch, what the fuck are they going to do at E3? They're not going to announce anything? That's crazy. You came out with a console this year. You have to announce something. They just have to. And it's not going to be like, a weak hitter either. They have to announce a big hitter at E3. So that big hitter can be one of their core franchises, like, for instance, Metroid. They haven't announced anything Metroid related, so they can come up with a Metroid game or the Switch. But I think it's going to be Monster Hunter. I think they're going to get to E3. They're going to get on stage. You're going to hear the Monster Hunter song come in. It's going to be like, dun, 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 dun. Just like, basically, it's going to be a rallying cry. Everybody's going to start crying because, like, the Monster Hunter's coming back to the consoles since, well, I guess Tri Ultimate was not that long ago, but, Monster Hunter making a comeback to the actual home console. I think that is going to be a thing. And if that happens, it's going to make me very happy. If it happens that the Monster Hunter comes to the PlayStation 4 as well, or instead of, I'm also going to be very happy. But to be completely honest, I think I have a bit of a preference for the Switch because of the fact that you can do the ad hoc thing Whereas with the PS4, you can't do that. That's not an option that you have with the PS4. But they bring it to the PS4, they could simultaneously develop a Vita version. But the thing is, it wouldn't make sense because what you're going to do, you're going to have double cross on PS4, PlayStation Vita, and 3DS in Japan? Like, it doesn't compute. It doesn't compute. Like, to me, what makes sense is double cross on the Switch, cross-play with PS Vita. That's what makes sense. And I think that's what Nintendo is going to be revealing at E3. I could be wrong. Who knows? I could be right. Who knows? But now what I'm really, really curious is, what is your opinion on all this? What would you like to see next in Monster Hunter? Because what I want to see next in Monster Hunter is not another 3DS version. Because, like, you know, pretty much they've had like 3 Ultimate, 4 Ultimate generations, and they've been coming out like rapid fucking fire. So, like, we've had a lot. They're getting to the levels of friggin' Assassin's Creed right now, which is not anything that I want to see a game franchise get to. I don't want to see it get there. So I want to see what happens next in Monster Hunter. And I'm hoping it's going to be a Switch version, and I'm hoping it's going to be a little bit more than just double cross. But I don't know. What do you think? Leave it in the comments below. Let me know. And if you guys have any questions regarding topics that you would like me to discuss, because I want to use Kast to discuss multiple topics. You know, I want to be able to dedicate Kast for just a topic that I feel like talking about. You know, because I don't want my channel just be me commentating over gameplay. I want to actually give out my thoughts and opinions on certain things. And if you guys have something that you would like me to discuss, feel free to always leave it in the comment section of Kast. Like I've told you guys in the past, I read every single comment when I'm laying down in bed. And I know that some of you guys get creeped out by that. But when I'm laying in bed, I'm usually going through my phone, reading all of the comments that you guys post. I might not reply to everything, because that would be insane, but I do read everything. So thank you guys very much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, hit it up with a like, subscribe if you're new. If you want to check out the gameplay that's happening in this video next to me, I'm going to have a link in the description to that channel. There's only 2 videos there. But yeah, hopefully you guys enjoy this, and I'll see you in the next one.